Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Dan Bigham once again, the man who has, it seems like, a million jobs in cycling. Great to have you here, Dan, and how are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How about yourself?
Yeah, we're actually in each other's country. I'm in the UK and you're in Denmark.
We swap places. I'd love to live here. I live in the dream. It's like COVID just doesn't seem to be a problem. Like the weather's nice, the culture's nice, loads of velodrome access. Sweet. And we're back road racing as well. I'm laughing at the UK. They've got their little like half an hour crits going on, and we're here doing 4 hour epic road races and national series. But anyway, I can't poke fun at them. Everyone else is struggling back home, so sorry about that. But it's good here.
How are you finding racing in Denmark for a change?
Different racing. It's totally different to the UK, and I guess it's what I wanted to always do as a roadie, but I've never focused on it with everything else going on the track side the past few years, and obviously COVID last year. That like it's just good, hard, fast racing. Whereas in the UK, it's just burgy. It's just like you've got Chorley and everything else. Just let's put as many hills in the road race as we can. It's like no, let's not. So the one I did last weekend was 165k, which took us 3.5 hours. It was like 46k an hour average. You're just not getting that in the UK. Okay, it was not easy to get away because of it, but it was just fast and aero and just awesome roads and awesome riders. And in the end, it went to a bunch of kick, but you had like 5 Conti teams all like leading out their sprinters. You had Mads Pedersen just rocking up for a bit of fun as well. Yeah, it was wicked. I loved it.
So anyways, you kind of caused a bit of controversy in a way, or every time you do something innovative in the world of cycling, everyone notices. And yeah, one picture that kind of went mini viral or viral in the cycling scene was the narrow handlebars that you were riding with. How did that come about, and what's it like handling them as well?
So it was a lockdown project last year. I'm always trying to develop new stuff, and I knew that my future was more on the road with time trials and road races, and so I started to think a bit more about how do I achieve performance in a road race? So that the whole reverse engineering of success. I always ask that of people, like, how do you win a bike race? And like a lot of people then go, what do you mean? How do you win a bike race? You cross the line first, but like, how do you win a bike race? Like, what has to happen from the finish line backwards for you to get there first? And I know for me, that isn't climbs, sprints. That's not me as a rider. I'm good at short to medium duration power. So anything from like, let's say like 2 to 3 minutes up to maybe like 20 minutes. And I'm good at getting aero. Like I can obviously focus on that and train that a lot. I ride a lot on my TT bike. I'm quite flexible and a good core around me. So basically, what's the CDA wins? I get away in a break or a solo break, and that's how I win a bike race. So how do I make myself better at doing that? And obviously, you can train the physiology side, but the other side is to look at your drag. Where does your power go to? It all goes somewhere. You can't create or destroy energy. It just gets moved about. So the big thing, if you're trying to win bike races like that, is aero drag. I want to say big, I mean like 70, 80, 90% of your aero drag, depending on that section, of your total power can be aero drag. So I was like, well, I need to get more aero. I've done God knows how many aero tests on my TT bike and haven't really focused so much on my road bike. But I knew that, well, I know in the world of time trialing that narrow is a big thing. It's massive for aerodynamics. And in the world of road racing, they haven't really taken it quite that seriously. So obviously, Willem van Schip had gone down that route, and he's been riding them for a little while. And to be honest, I've been pretty narrow anyway since 2015, 2016. I've been riding 34s, 35s, 36s. So I guess for most people, they're like, that's crazy. But for me, that's always been normal. So this was kind of just, I guess, a step beyond that. But I'd done track testing, road testing out in the real world. I knew how much of a gain it was, which for me is pretty big. I'm sort of the high end of what I've tested people to be at for gaining on the width side. I mean, like people look at the photo and they're like, oh, but your elbows are sticking out. It's like, well, I'm clearly not in the position that I would ride when I attack. I don't sit upright on the hood. So I'm tucked. I have basically a flat forearm, tucked elbows, tucked head, and that's what wins me. And it's pretty massive. For me, it's about 15 watts over a wider bar at my attack kind of speed of about 48k an hour, give or take 45 to 50, that kind of window. And 15 watts is big. It's a second and a half every kilometer. If I go 10k out, then I'm 15 seconds up the road, which is 200 meters. How many breakaways are caught in the final 200 meters? Like people just don't think this through, that like small details make a massive difference. I remember Tony Martin back in, it's like the I'm going to go with like 2015, 2016. I can't remember if it was a Vuelta or Giro, but he attacked from the gun, soloed the whole race, had like 8.5 minutes on the peloton by himself, and then got pulled back literally in like the last, well, he got caught 12 meters from the line or 15 meters from the line. And you think, literally, that's like points of a watt that would have gotten that win. And yeah, there's many ways you can find 0.1 of a watt on Tony Martin back in 2015, but that's what he had at the time and what he had to work with. So anyway, kind of like all that kind of short, I decided that I'd focus on the next development for Wattshop being a narrow aero road bar. So it was just a bit of a prototype that I put together in lockdown. The plan is to have it as a production product this year. Originally, the plan was early to mid 2021, but COVID is a nightmare in the world of manufacturing. It's not been too bad in the UK. Once we came out of the first lockdown, they've managed to figure out getting on top of it. But everything with Wattshop is UK designed, optimized, engineered, manufactured. We don't outsource outside of the UK. We use British engineering, and unfortunately, that does sometimes mean that things take a little bit longer and a bit more expensive because, COVID has been something the UK obviously struggled with, and UK engineering isn't cheap. But it means we end up with a top-notch product that we're happy with, and we can visit the supplier. Our supplier, our factory is based up in Chapel on the Frith, and we can pop in whenever we want and go and see the guys. So anyway, the plan is to get it out pretty soon. But one of the reasons for having a prototype was just to test the handling. I know people are critical of it. My thoughts are that it isn't particularly a problem. Obviously, having ridden, relatively speaking, narrow bars for years and never had an issue. I think in road race, touch wood, it's the worst thing to ever say, but I've barely crashed in my cycling career in road races yet. Touch everything bit of wood wise going, but it's also what's going to happen now. But I don't think handling is a problem. So without trying to be too nerdy on it all, basically what happens is there's lots of things in the world of like cycling dynamics you can look at, but you're creating a force by a lever, so you create a torque around the steering axis. So if you have a wider bar, you have a bigger lever arm, so you need a lower amount of force, but typically you move a longer distance. So what happens is you have to create more force in a shorter distance with a narrower bar, but it's something you adapt to pretty quickly. It's nowhere near your maximal. In the world of bike handling, actually, most of the time you just steer the opposite direction to the way you want to go. The bike cambers over, and then you hold the handlebars pretty much dead straight. So the bicycle tires corner via a thing called camber thrust, which basically means that a tire is cambered over and the tire has to deflect in a straight line on the floor, which creates a lateral force, whereas car tires create a cornering force by having a slip angle, so by being steered. But you don't steer really with a bike tire other than to create that lean. So steering is actually really minimal in the world of cycling. I don't think many people really realize that. If you measure steering angle in bike races, it's so small. You have like a quick peak before a corner, and that's about it. Beyond that, though, it's fine. Like people claim, oh, you can't breathe. Well, I'm at 27 centimeters wide on my TT bike. If you measure my elbows, I'm at about 15. So I'm nearly at half the width on my TT bike, and I can crack out 400 watts for half an hour on my TT bike. I'm pretty sure I'm not struggling on my road bike. It's nothing to do with breathing. It's just one of those old school myths. Then people say, well, what about sprinting? Okay, well, if sprint power is so restricted by having, I'm 33 on the drops, then how come literally the best sprinters in the world, we're talking people on the track, you've got Jeffrey Hoogland, you've got Aziz Lawang, all these guys are on 28, 30, maybe 32s, and they're putting out 2,500 watts. They're racing Kieran's 80k an hour. And if people say, well, it's track, there's nothing to avoid. You haven't raced track, you haven't watched track. Track is sketchy. It's the same in the bunch. Like some of the bunch racers are riding around on 28s pretty comfortably. 28s on the drops, that is. I'm at 33 on the drops. Never have any issues. Handling is not a problem like that. Sprinting is nothing to do with the leverage of the width. The amount of force that you put out, you can easily oppose that on even like the narrowest of drops. You're not putting like huge forces out unless you're a big sprinter who's putting out, well, from a single side, you're probably looking in the region around 400 Newton meters, maybe 500 Newton meters out the start gate. If you're doing a high speed sprint, you'd be lucky to hit 200 Newton meters at 70k an hour, which when you do all the forces around that, it's not a massive amount that you have to pull back on the other side. So yeah, that's kind of that handling side. People claim climbing issues as well, which I don't know, at first it felt alien. I wouldn't say it felt bad. It's just that everything around your body is just, used to riding a certain position. Much like if you change your saddle or change anything, it just feels different, but you quickly adapt to that. And it's exactly the same with bar width, that you can climb out the saddle. It's not a problem. People think, oh, but you're everywhere on the bike. You're not. It's just that the fact that you don't move your hands as much. If you've got a good core and you're very stable, it's not an issue. And yeah, it's not something I'd say that every man their dog's going to hop on and ride 27 centimeter wide handlebars. But if you're winning bike races by being aerodynamic, either through breakaways or being solo or whatever, unique aero matters full stop, then you'd be naive to ignore that and at least consider going somewhat narrower than bloody 40 centimeter handlebars that seem to be the status quo in cycling. And yeah, I get shot down left, right, and center by old schoolers and people in the peloton. Like Nathan Haas, I think, commented on one of the posts saying, oh, aerodynamics is nothing without mobility and handling. It's like, well, you've never ridden that. And to be honest, Nathan anyway criticised me in Tour de Yorkshire for riding aero socks. It's like, you criticise me for riding aero socks. I mean, free 7 to 10 watts all day, every day. Of course you're going to criticise me on handlebars. Of course he doesn't care. He just loves the old school dogma of just riding bikes like they always have. And it's a bit like Adam Blythe. It's saying they do it for the style and not so much the speed. As I always said, like, I'd happily ride in a bloody penis outfit. I don't care. I just want to win bike races. Rant over.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't really argue with an engineer, performance engineer as well, and also an aerodynamicist. You have so many titles to your name. But, and also like everything you do anyways, and cycling is such a traditional sport as well. You can hardly do anything and then someone has an opinion. You can just see the rant with disc brakes and rim brakes. That's discussion that seems to be everlasting. And yeah,
pinchers, tubeless, tubular. Even electronic shifting got slated at the start. Even when they had STI levers with brakes and shifting together, people are like, you'll crash. You can't use your hands to brake and shift. It's like, how easy is that nowadays? It's normal. But it's change. People hate change. And I mean, even outside the sport, it's a problem in all walks of life. Change, people don't naturally like change. It's uncomfortable, it's difficult, it's hard. And I guess modern day, it's a lot of good businesses are quick to adapt and they perform well because they're accepting of change. It's not easy, and managing change can be a big problem in some companies, but it's the way you progress as a company. If not, you end up like Blockbuster. They didn't want to change because they were like, this is our business and this is how it works. It's like, well, the world is changing. If you don't adapt to it, then you're going to lose. I heard a good saying, someone popped it, well, a few good sayings. One of them was, only dead fish swim with the stream. Which made me laugh in response to all of that. But just, I think in general, change is something that the sport struggles with. And people are just happy with the sport the way it's always been, and looking back with rose-tinted glasses of Pantani climbing out the chair at Von 2 and looking real cool doing it. And it's like, well, okay, you're in the sport for that. I'm in the sport because I like the engineering nerdy side of it. And I'm not going to criticize you for wearing your hat with a load of luft and riding out the chair, whatever, up a climb, but don't go criticizing me because I'm applying some maths, physics and engineering to a problem to help me win bike races.
No, but I think it's really, really interesting what you've done, because the bike hasn't changed at all thanks to the UCI as well. You saw Graham Reed tried to do something different, that got banned. So it seems like any kind of innovation has kind of been halted a lot by the governing bodies as well. And yeah, who has thought outside the box of looking at the CDA of the handlebars? Like, yeah, it's something innovative, and yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that, and if you can get it mass produced as well. So, but anyways, you're also like, as you said, a pro bike rider with Ribble Weldtite. And something very exciting happened for you guys. You were going to the Tour of Britain. Hopefully it's happening this year. It didn't happen last year. But is that something that you're looking at to target and try and get in the team for that? And is it very big for the team as well?
It's massive for the team. It's been, I mean, obviously it's a huge thing full stop for the country. Like in the world of cycling, like the Tour of Britain is pretty much the biggest thing we have every year. I think everybody in the sport stops and follows it for that week. And yeah, it's created a problem in domestic sport for the last few years, or domestic cycling, because every Conti team's chased selection. It's meant the domestic race scene has always been about selection and not about genuine racing. So it's been this like, how do you select kind of thing? And Tour of Britain have just gone, you know what, you guys have like supported us, we've supported you. Let's just go, let's take everybody this year and go for it. And I think that is in itself pretty awesome, that we don't have that battle, that race, that disruptiveness of the domestic race scene before Tour of Britain, that we can just crack on and race a race. And then we can target and prepare knowing that we'll be on the start line. So for me, it's definitely a target, even more so if the words time trial appear on the stage, then I'm on all over that. It's something I've discussed with the team a lot, that if there's a team time trial, then we need to focus on it. We should commit to it, because hand on heart, I believe we can do something pretty awesome, pretty outrageous against the top teams, especially if it's early on in the race, when we're going to be less fatigued, because effectively the bigger teams struggle less with fatigue resistance. There's a good paper came out on that this week, I think by James Spragg, I want to say, fatigue resistance of elite cyclists and professionals. But anyway, that's just me talking nerdy stuff. But I think, yeah, if it happens, then I'm definitely there, and I want to do something cool. Yeah, I've obviously not got the opportunity to do all the stuff on the track this year. So any big races I've got to get my teeth stuck into, I'm all over.
Yeah, well, we've had an interview before, so if anyone's wondering why I'm skimming over things that we did the interview before, but yeah, click up here. But yeah, your track aspirations this year, you did talk about doing the hour record as well at one point. Is that something that you're thinking of this year, or where's that kind of, and who'd what bike as well? What's kind of the goals for this year?
So my track stuff. Good question. Keeps changing as well. I've got loads of ideas in my head all the time, and it's always trying to balance it up. And I have to take a bit of my own advice of focusing on those top few goals and ignoring the things below, because if you focus on everything, then nothing gets done. So you have to pick and choose, and I hate that, which is why I'm involved in so many other things, a bit of jumbo, a bit of canyon, a bit of this, a bit of that, because I love it. I love a bit of variety. But anyway, yeah, the hour. So I did back in whenever it was, March 2020, we were in our final prep before going to Bolivia to altitude for our primarily team pursuit, or so the IP, the kilo, the hour, and then got caught in all the COVID lockdowns, and that kind of put paid to all the plans there. But throughout last year, I just focused heavily on individual time trials and hour record prep. Did some practice over here in Denmark. I did practice in Derby last year, and then a practice this year on the track a couple months ago. And yeah, basically I'm very, very close on Wiggins, the British record, which is also the sea level world record, at least currently, until Garner decides to have a go, which he was hinting at on Instagram this week. Please just wait. So yeah, well, I just want to beat Wiggins. That's a big target for me personally, and to be the furthest at sea level. And it's just about achievable. I have like this kind of window of, if everything comes together, i.e. like really good form, good equipment, good atmospherics, I can do it. Because I'm not Bradley Wiggins. I don't have a 400 and what threshold. Like, I'm on the track for an hour, I'm looking at doing 360, 365, maybe 370 if everything's outrageous. That's kind of the level I'm at, which, okay, is still really good. I appreciate that, but it's not Wout van Aert, Garner, Wiggins level of power. But I'm just very efficient. I'm very dialed and optimized. So yeah, the plan is to have a go. My practice run in February, I was 53.3 with, well, less than ideal pacing. I went out at 54.2 and held that to 40 minutes, and then yeah, fell apart, head fell off, wanted to get off the bike. God knows how I got it to the hour, but I did. It was not pretty. My last 20 minutes were about 310 watts, which yeah, not ideal. But I've done some good prep since then. I did 45 minutes at pretty much bang on record pace about just over a month ago, and then had a bit of a back issue. I was basically planning to do it in April when I was out here. But I'd do it. Martin Toft Madsen, a Dane who I work with, he was keen to have a go. He's about 20 meters short of 54k, which, to be honest, I'm pretty sure he'd chuck another kilo on now and be 20 meters short of 55k. He's, I mean, physiologically very good, but also incredibly dialed. Like, I have a low CDA, but his is like another level of low, and he can match me for about 20, 25 watts less. So that's kind of the level we're talking, that he can do a lot with very little in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, that was going to happen. And then came back from my team camp, and on the Monday, pulled my bike out the car, and I've had a back issue for about 5 years now, and 2 discs slipped, bulging out. So I was basically horizontal for the next week, not riding my bike, trying to ride my bike, sitting in the heat tent, doing anything to get some physiological stimulus. Like, I just need to get through this week. And it recovered quite quickly, as they tend to. Basically, the muscles all spasm around my back, lock up, can't do much. Basically, it's pretty excruciating to stand up, but once the swelling reduces, you loosen up the spasming, you're sort of rolling on a tennis ball, actually here all the time, just trying to get it all flexible again. Then it's all okay, and most of the time I'm fine. But losing a week of training, 3 weeks out from an hour record, was one that's on the limit that I just couldn't face being able to have a proper go and come up short. I need to do it properly and be prepared. So the plan is to push it back to when my partner Joss is doing it back end of the year. So she's all in for the TSO World Hour. She has ridden further in training than the current record, if that means anything. So yeah, she's going for it, and I'll piggyback on hers. I think that's a better way of approaching it, rather than trying to force it in the short term when I'm still coming back from this and building some form back up.
And what bike?
Oh yeah, what bike? So to be honest, we haven't put a formal announcement out. We didn't, but basically, to all intents and purposes, we won't continue on. We haven't re-registered as a trade team. Everyone's gone to the 4 wins, as it were. So Kyle's with Scottish Cycling, so he's all in towards Commie Games. He's doing a few of the Nations Cups now since the UCI reneged on their ban of us. And then where else we got? Johnny's at GB trialing. Will is with Spellman Dublin Port Dublin. Get the team right. I'm really sorry, guys. I can't remember the team name exactly. When they're famous, it'll roll off the tongue. But like when everyone's like, "What's who what bike?" Sounds terrible. So yeah, he's with Spellman Port Dublin, and I think he's doing a little bit of GB as well, through some connections with DIS. They've got him onto the academy there. I think he's doing well for himself. John's obviously joined Iolo Cometa, so he's on the Pro Conti team, living the dream on the road. That
was a big surprise.
Yeah. I think he's enjoying it. It's just hard, isn't it, to make that step up. The level is different, and going into like Trainer Adratico against literally the best hitters out there, Pogacar, Van der Poel, you're going to have a hard time. But I think he'll get there. The type of athlete he is, he suits that environment. He just needs to get a grasp on it and understand like how the racing works, because it's different to the domestic scene. Everyone's always said that, and I've seen it when I've travelled to UCI races and worked with World Tour teams. I know what the environment's like. I know how the races are raced, and it is different to the UK. We don't have enough UCI racing in the UK, full stop, and that's why it's traditionally quite hard for British riders to step up beyond the domestic continental team. So it's kudos to John that he's shown the potential to just jump straight up, irrespective of any UCI results beyond national champs. He's just shown his potential, full stop, across the board. So yeah, that kind of puts paid to who what bike, which, to be honest, anyway, the plan was to end it after our record attempt, team suit record attempts at altitude back, which was going to be April last year, and that'd be our swan song, our final hurrah. But that all kept getting pushed back, and then obviously people make other plans, which I wouldn't ever criticise them for. It makes sense, right? You want to keep progressing your career. You can't put your life on hold for something that even right now can't go ahead, because we couldn't travel to Mexico or Bolivia, at least not very easily, and put an event on. So it's unfortunate, but everyone's gone on to other cool and interesting things. And yeah, I think it's good that we've been able to be that sort of springboard to other things for everybody.
So just finishing up with your last, we're going through like every single role you have in cycling, which is quite funny. But you're also the performance engineer at the Danish national team. Of course, last year it was absolutely amazing for us Danish fans. The quartet, they broke the world record in Berlin, and everything looked like it was going to be gold in the 2020 Olympics. And then obviously, thank you, COVID. So it's still going to be called the 2020 Olympics, which is quite funny, but it's going to be hopefully in 2021. So how are preparations for that? And is it just full on now? And is that why you're in Denmark as well?
That is why I'm in Denmark. Yeah, I'm in Denmark quite a lot. Probably a good amount of my time, a good chunk, half of it maybe. A lot of my time anyways over here. I don't have to be in Denmark for my work, but it definitely makes life a lot easier being able to see everybody all the time and crack on and not just work remotely. I think it is going well. The whole extra year is weird. It's not something you plan for. It's not something you anticipate. But when it came about, it's like, well, we've got a year. What can we do? And the UCI brought in a load of equipment regulations around qualifying equipment beforehand. So you're very limited on equipment selection, so you couldn't then just go and design some new wheels or a new frame or new handlebars or anything like that. You use what's already available, but then you also have this big list of all the equipment that's been registered by every nation in the world, and you can go, we didn't see that, let's get one of them. Let's go and have a look at it, see what that's like. So that plus there's a few things that aren't regulated or aren't restricted, so like drivetrains, so chains and sprockets and chain rings, and then just dialing out all the riders in, really, just make sure everyone's as optimized as we can. So it was, 12 months we didn't expect, we didn't anticipate, didn't plan around, but we've definitely, I think, used it quite well. The biggest, weirdest thing about all of this is there's been no competition since that Berlin World Championships, and there's probably not going to be any competition where everyone squares up against each other. So from February 2020 to July 2021, which is what, quick maths, 17 months, is that right? We'll go with 17. 17 months, nearly 2 years. No team pursuit guys are going to square up against each other. Are the favourites still the favourites? Have Australia, New Zealand, anybody who's qualified suddenly found a ton of performance, or some new athletes that are eligible and have moved on? Because somebody who was maybe 18, 19, 20 might have just been outside of selection, might have been an outlier. I mean, the Aussies with Luke Platt, probably a good example. He was pretty young, and 12 months ago, probably not in the team. I'd say he would have been first reserve. He was okay to good at Berlin Worlds, but then since then, he's just made a huge step up as an athlete. He's obviously grown, matured, understands his body, training, everything else, and now he's something to behold. He's got a ton of gas. He won the senior Aussie nationals in the time trial. So they found an asset with him that they otherwise wouldn't have had without this additional 12 months. And who's to say other Luke Platts don't exist in other nations? So it's a weird one, but the only thing we can do is control the controllables and work on what we've got. And it's exciting because of that. We've got a good team, I think, and it's coming together. Just excited to just get out there, get it on. There's not much work left to do as such now. It's just a case of them focusing on their training, and hopefully it comes together in Tokyo.
I mean, one of the other riders that Villeuropa, the Danish podcast, they were having a bit of a nightmare about was that Filippo Ganna said he wants to ride with Italy's team pursuit team.
Oh God. Yeah, Ganna's just... it's not just Ghana, that's the thing. You've got Milan as well. He's, I guess, another, call him Luke Platt, but he was young. He was good, don't get me wrong, in 2020, early 2020, but he's really moved on. He showed at European champs in wherever they were back in Plovdiv. Was it Plovdiv? Back end of last year. He did a 407 IP and a 10 kilo, which is pretty outrageous. And he's just moving on and on and on as athletes. So you suddenly got a 407 and a 401 IPer who can both do pretty outrageous kilos. Then, they're going to be fast. The Aussies going to be fast. The Italians are going to be fast. The Kiwis did a 46 at their nationals, and they've got, like, no word of a lie, like 9 riders who could be in that starting 4. The Kiwis are going quick, and then, there's another 4 or 5 nations, wherever it is going. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be fast. But as I said, just we focus on us. Wherever we'll be, we'll be.
All right, Dan, thanks very much for your time. And it's going to be a very exciting time to follow you and, of course, the Danish national team and Ribble Weldtite.
And my book as well. My new book comes out in 2 weeks. What are we on today? 13th of May. Start at the end is released.
So we're gonna link all that and put like a notice out about that. And of course, if you want to check out again, Dan is also is it the head consultant at the Wattshop. So we'll put a link down below as well for that, and of course all your social medias down below as well. So thanks for your time, Dan, and we'll catch you soon again.
Thanks for having me. Good to chat.